been?
My week's been great, but we are doing a little rough on our assessments.
Yeah, so was my class, especially after our biology unit test. We should go over the I can statements for the test because I did not have any proficient scores in my classroom.
Yeah, and I only had one.
The first statement, I can tell the difference between proteins, DNA, and RNA and the relationships to each other. This was something my class really struggled with. I think we need to reteach this topic. Maybe we could really focus on how DNA and RNA are made and how a protein develops after that. This reinforcement of basic information might help the students better understand the topic.
I think that will really help. My students really struggled with that first statement. The second statement, I can tell the difference between transcription and translation, was something my class did really well on. I think we don't really need to reteach this. Maybe just review the information so that they can have it reviewed for the next assessment.
I think that approach is appropriate. My students did really well on the second statement as well. The last statement, I can explain the structure of DNA, was something we had issues with, but with my students, they seemed to pick it up after a couple of days of review.
Mm-hmm. My students seem to pick up this information very quickly, so I think that's something that we can review a little bit before the next assessment.
My students had issues explaining it. Overall, there was only one student who scored proficient on this exam.
Yeah, and we had zeros as the lowest score in every section except for matching. The average test score for our two sections was 56%. So what do you think we're struggling the most in?
I think the majority of my class missed almost all of the points on a long response question about the relationship between DNA and protein.
Mm-hmm. So I only had one student miss all of the points, but only one got full points. So I think it's something that we definitely need to cover again.
It seems like between the two of us, we only had a handful of students who were close to proficient. I think these students include Ashton, Emma, Bethany, Krista, Kelsey, and Annika.
Mm-hmm.
Since Lexi was the only one who scored proficient on this assessment, I'm not worried about her at all. There are 4 more students who are probably halfway to proficient, I would say. Those include Alex, Abby, Dalton, and Parker, who could use some extra support.
The last 4, which we haven't mentioned yet, are Kayla, Samantha, Peyton, and Maddie. They need a lot of extra help. The student that I'm most worried about is probably Samantha. She did not do very well in this last assessment. I think that we need to reteach what the kids are struggling in and give them the opportunity to do a project on these topics, because if they do a project, then they can teach the information to the other students in the class, and that will help them learn the information.
I completely agree. I think that a project will allow the kids to have fun and still learn. I think we need a new SMART goal for this unit as well. Do you have any ideas?
Obviously, we need to focus on our I can statement, and the one that we struggled the most was I can tell the difference between proteins, DNA, and RNA. I think that's a good place to start. So let's base our goal off of that. We should aim to go from 7% proficient, which is only 1 student, to 60% proficient, which is 9 students, after we reteach this topic and assess them.
I would like to share the results with my class and have them develop goals with our students. I feel like if we let them do a self-assessment, they'll be able to kind of pinpoint where they're falling short as well and help us as educators understand where they need extra support.
Mm-hmm.
I also think another point that we struggled with was our true and false questions. Only one student got all 3 questions right in that section.
Do you think it was the way that we taught the information or the way that we worded the questions?
I think it was the wording. Next time we write these assessments, I think we really need to watch out for questions that could be misleading.
Mm-hmm. So our matching section was very promising. We only had 5 students not get 100% on that section. I think the information covered, which was the functions of DNA, codons, proteins, and cells, was something that the kids really understood, so that is very promising to see.
I'm seeing really great results from these meetings. I have noticed how much better my students are doing now that I'm learning what to do differently in a classroom with them and where they're falling short.
Yeah. Going over our students' results has helped me identify where I'm falling short as a teacher and how to help them with their goals. It's also helped the students see where they are and where they need to be. And when we have these meetings, we're on the same page, and then we can help the students achieve their goals.
Mm-hmm. I feel like having our I can statements is making it easier to know what standards we are teaching and help the students know what to expect when we walk into the classroom. I'm wondering if a want to know and learn chart would be useful to us when we're going to teach our next topic, so that we know what the students already know and where their interests lie within the unit as well.
I think that's a good idea, but I think we should introduce it as like a possible assignment, because if we're just doing it as busy work, then it's not really going to help the students. So I think this has been a very productive meeting. Does this time next week work for you?
Yes, I think we need to talk next time about the instructional strategies we can use to improve our classroom achievements, but I will see you next week.
All right, see you next week.